And welcome back, everybody. I'm sorry about all this, but we're just trying to squeeze everything out of the hype. You know what I'm saying? So we had technical difficulty. We found out that a raccoon actually chewed on the internet wire, so we had to get some Scotch tape and wrap it up, and stick a gum so it won't come off. But we're good now. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys stop complaining, and we're on. So without further ado, Mr. D. ¿Cómo estás?
All good, all good. What's up with it?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you're here. My apologies for the technical difficulty. We didn't know that this was going to happen. And first thing is first. I want to bring something up that I think is kind of ironic. It's crazy. I don't believe in coincidence, and neither do you. Okay. Yeah. Somebody on the community chat on the YouTube said 7/7, and when we put up the date for this interview, okay, and it said that's good numerology. Now, I don't really know anything about numerology, okay, but I told you, I said, look, somebody said 7/7, and I noticed that it was July 7th. Well, July is the 7th month, and the date was the 7th.
Yeah.
And the year is 21. Okay, so I said, where are we going to get the other 7 from? So a couple of days later, you hit me with the flyer.
The old one, yeah.
The old one, and what was the date on that?
The 7th.
March 7th.
Yeah.
So here we have 3 7s, and the year's 21. So you know what? That's a good sign right there.
Hell yeah.
I kind of believe in numerology now.
Yeah.
So I know it took you a while to get over here because of traffic.
Oh, that's horrible. LA traffic.
Yeah.
One of the worst, everybody experiences at one point, especially coming from the valley all the way over here. Dang, 2 hours.
2 hours.
Bumper to bumper.
Bumper down. Okay. Something I want to talk about that when me and you finally hooked up, and we've talked a lot on the phone. We've had a lot of dope conversations pertaining to music and just life in general.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot about you since March 7th, since we've been in contact. Yeah. Let me share with the public first, because I need to set this up. How I came to meet you. Somebody, and I hope you're listening, somebody sent me through the DM on my other page your video. And I'll be honest with you, that was the one where you were wearing the size 60 Ben Davis with the M.S. Smith jersey. Okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll be honest, I said to myself, who in the hell is this? That's what I said. Who in the hell is this?
The natural reaction.
Yeah, okay. Now, so what happened was I pressed play, and I was impressed. I really was. So then I said, okay, let me try again. Maybe that's just beginner's luck, and I just clicked on the right one. Scrolled, hit another one. This guy's pretty damn good. Clicked on another one. Damn. Never judge the book by its cover, okay?
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So then my son sends me your video, that same M.S. Smith jersey video, that same day. And he said, check this guy out. So I was like, what the hell? Okay. I didn't know how to get in contact with you because I believe on your YouTube, you didn't know, I didn't know you had a Instagram, a Facebook, a MySpace.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to that. Like, I just now until then, I started like adding, links to different things that I own, that I personally like log into every day. I check in every day. So if I do respond to certain people, it'll always come from me directly. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I just started getting into that, so it was kind of like a rocky beginning,
So I called up my boy, and I asked him, hey, have you ever heard of this guy? No, I never heard of him. Do you know how to get a hold? I don't know. I called up another guy. No, I never heard of him, but he's dope. I sent your videos out to a couple of heads. And then I saw that you were going to be a guest on another podcast. And I was like, holy shit. Somebody found him.
Yeah.
So, and then I contacted him, and I asked him, hey, man, can you ask him, if I can get his number, but let him know it's me. Okay, cool. I think a couple of minutes later, and I want to thank him, he gave me your number. So I called you, and you're a man of little words. You didn't really say much. So and then I'm talking to you, and then I said, would you be down to do an interview? And then you said, I don't do interviews, and there was a little pause, and then you said, but I'll do yours. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. So since that day, one thing that I've learned, that you're an old soul. Either that or you're a time traveler from the future
Time traveler.
that has come back and kicked it with us. Okay?
Sometimes I wish I was a time traveler, you know, because then that means I've experienced the decade that I'm supposedly from. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if it were possible, you know, it's obvious I'll go to the 80s. You know,
Right.
You know,
right.
like it's if I were to come back, dang, first thing I bring with me is a boombox. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I could probably make that happen. I made everything else happen. So, but now here's the thing. When I started talking to this guy, all his music was all old stuff. Houdini, Run DMC, you know, Africa Bambaataa. And I was like, nah, dude, you're from the wrong era. You're from the wrong era. Now, we know the 4 elements of hip hop, okay?
Yeah,
and this is
yeah.
where you're going to start. The 4 elements of hip hop are DJing, okay, MCing, which you do, pop locking or breaking, and graffiti. As I gotten to know you, you did all of those things. One thing that you said that you wanted to do before you started rapping was DJ.
Yeah.
That's where you start. Tell us why you wanted to be a DJ. What intrigued you? What happened?
Well, this is actually gonna trip you out too, because I never told you this, but when I was younger, I started watching Fresh Prince, and then in the intro, I saw Jazzy Jeff. You know?
Oh, wow.
And then it started building up like a sort of a what if, you know, what could, you know, whatever.
Right.
And I started digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and I started noticing that people use the DJs to really pump up the crowd, to like set the vibe. You know what I mean? Like they're like the wizards. You know what I mean, of the party at the moment. You know, because there wasn't no MCs. You know that like back then, like from my understanding, at least when I was learning it, they all told me that you gotta be a DJ. You gotta learn your music. You gotta learn who, what, where, and when.
Right.
You know, like it all kicked off, you know, because then I'd be all over the place. I'd just be following the new trend now, you know, like, and that's why I wanted to really take it to the element, you know, like to me, that was the first one. That's the foundation to me, you know?
Right. Well, for me, back then, the DJ was everything.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about the group you just mentioned, it was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
The DJ was actually named first, okay? Today, you know, DJs for some rappers are irrelevant. They don't need them.
Yeah,
you know?
no.
You know, but back then, I mean, how I used to, just even back in the 80s at backyard parties, the way I used to hype up the crowd, I would have an MC go out there, hype up the crowd, and I was just like, bucket, and then the crowd starts going crazy before you know it.
It's sort of like how Yellow Man used to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you just get like a simple bass string here and there, boom. Start going crazy, you know, just rhyming back to back. But in reality, it was all the DJ that was cutting and scratching, you know, looping everything, you know, because if it wasn't for him, then you would just be hearing somebody do a cappella over and over again, you know.
Right.
But it set the tone, you know what I mean, of what he was necessarily gonna say.
Right.
You know, like for example, right, not so long ago, I was checking out, you know, Yellow Man again, and one thing that I learned was that he used the same chords over and over again, but his rhymes were all over the place. You know what I mean? Like he be talking about, I don't know, saving a woman, right? And then next thing you know, he's like, oh, but then I'm dropping her off, you know, because I'm suave. You know what I mean? Like he bounces around. That's where I learned. You know what I mean? Like from different rappers as well, that they got it from that generation of MCing in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Like it, in my opinion, it all started from there. You know what I mean? Like when rappers start saying, "Oh, like break it down," like that all came from there. You know what I mean? And the deeper and deeper you go into like this tree, like you really start getting to the roots. Like you start finding like all this crazy stuff that comes from different countries. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I say it all started for me from DJing. You know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for the music that I started hearing from like Bob Marley, people started sampling different things, you know, from him. You know, just like James Brown. Right. You know what I mean? But people weren't doing Bob Marley because it wasn't like that gangster feel. You know what I mean?
Right.
Up until, like a quick example, Spice One started doing that Jamaican stuff. You know what I mean? Like boom, boom, boom. You know, like doing his thing. Like it all comes from a chord. You know what I mean? If you skip that chord, you just sound all over the place.
Right. And that's one of the elements that we talked about that I got from you. You were really into DJing, but there was a point where you said you saw something and it if you will, it bothered you that you saw something and it kind of killed the vibe where you wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah, it didn't just bother me. It killed it on the spot. You know what I mean?
Okay, what was that?
Well, okay, so I was with my moms, and back then in elementary school, we went to a program called LA's Best, right?
Right.
So it's an after-school program, you know what I mean? Whatever. We went to a field trip, and at that field trip, we went to like this area that had a DJ. The only thing is that he wasn't necessarily a DJ in my eyes. He was just somebody just scratching with automatic, like engineered, computerized stuff. You know what I mean? It was, I don't know. It killed everything for me. You know what I mean? Like I went from seeing somebody scratch vinyl records to doing it on a laptop. You know what I mean? And I told my mom was with me. You know what I mean? And she, you know, if she was here, she'll tell you straight up. You know, I told her, and I was like, nah, I don't want to be a DJ no more. You know what I mean? On to the next dream. You know? And then,
right.
Yeah, like we lured away, because throughout that whole day, I was pissed off. I was like, nah, like, I can't believe it, you know?
It went from a skill to just pushing buttons that anybody can do it now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't like having everybody doing it. You know what I mean? I like actually working to that level and actually being congratulated properly for it. You know what I mean? Not like all these clones trying to be like, you know what I mean, another clone, and it's like, why be a clone when you can be the clone maker? You know what I mean?
Right, the original.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
The original will always be worth more than the copy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So let's move on to the next element that I've learned from you, that you actually wanted to be a pop locker and be in a group.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay, tell us about that.
Oh, so back then I want to say 11 or 12 years old. I want to give a quick shout out to Coldwater Elementary. You know, that's where I met some cool ass substitute teacher, you know? I'm serious, like, you know, once he told me, he was like, what type of music do you like? And I was like, NWA, African Band Battle. And he was like, wait, hold on, pump your brakes. What the fuck you just say? You know, that's when I told him, you know, and then I started like telling like, oh yeah, you know, my favorite songs, you know, at the time was Play at Your Own Risk, you know, because I learned it from, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I picked it up from Scarface, you know, the soundtrack of it. So I just kept playing it over and got stuck in my head. So I told him that was my favorite song at the moment, and he was just in shock, you know, because here I am, an elementary student, talking about all these groups from the 80s, you know what I mean, like talking about electro funk, you know, like what do you really expect that from somebody at that age? If you were in his perspective, like, you know, like, do you really expect that? Like, right. It's the craziest part, you know what I mean? So he started telling me like, yeah, I used to pop lock, I used to be a b-boy, I used to do this and do that. And I was like, really? Show me a move. And that's when he started waving, you know what I mean? You know, his name was Mr. Gustavo. He started waving, you know what I mean? He started like, you know, like doing that, you know, that electric shock stuff. And I'm just like, damn, that was the coldest shit ever, you know? I was just like, nah, like, this is it right here, you know, I gotta be a dancer, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta do it, you know? And that's when I had my mom sign me up for dance classes.
No shit.
Know? Yeah, she signed me up for dance classes. I wasn't that good at it because I'm not that social. And they wanted everybody to go around in a circle and dance, you know what I mean, do their little thing. And everybody was like, you know, offbeat doing their little thing. And I was like, nah, I could definitely take everybody out, you know?
Right.
You know, like, because I used to study a lot of old stuff, you know, like, a quick example I could give you is Beat Street, you know?
Of course.
That set the bar for me, you know, like Beat Street, breaking. You know, like
breaking, Style Wars.
And Style Wars.
The one you tripped me out on was when I mentioned Chris the Glove Taylor, and then you said, yeah, you interviewed him. And I was like, first of all, how in the hell do you know him? And then you said, oh, I seen him on Breaking the Entering. And I go, okay, how in the hell do you know about that documentary? Because that documentary came out in 1983.
Nah, you know what? The internet is a crazy thing. You know, I actually use it to its advantage. You know, it's like a library for me at least. You know, because sometimes I'd go on and I'll be wondering like, oh, how was it when the 80s were popping and locking? Like, was every gang member literally popping and locking too? You know, and it's true, you know, they were, you know. But the internet really, it showed me like documentaries from the 70s, you know, about when it first started, you know, like when the little bit of bits and pieces from like, you know, like Shabba-Doo, you know what I mean? That he was the one that set the foundation for everybody, if we're technically speaking, you know what I mean? Right. Like, I've heard it a million times from OG poppers too, you know? And it blows my mind, you know, that people set their names on walls, you know, on concrete, you know, like they set it there forever just by popping, you know, and that's what made me trip out the most. Is like, I want to do that. I want to be a legend, doing something no one else can, but doing real good, you know, looking real good while doing it, you know?
See, when you said, oh yeah, Shabba-Doo, I was like, how in the hell do you know Shabba-Doo? Like, how did you hear of him? You know? But it just tripped me out because you know that documentary, Breaking and Entering, when he was known as Michael Chambers' Boogaloo Shrimp before he was Turbo from Breaking. In 1983, he was filmed here, you know, partly here in the city of Wilmington.
Yeah, I actually heard, not to cut you off, but I actually heard, you know, about that, you know, I wanted to bring up Booyah Tribe, right? You know, they were in that documentary. They were talking about how they taught, you know, little moves to him, you know, whatever at the park. And the way they ended up too, it kind of just pumped me up more to like, okay, I can be in their shoes in the same way. You know what I mean? I just got to learn what they learned, you know, which is going back to the, you know, crawling and then walking and then finally running.
Right.
You know?
Now, let's move on to, we talked about b-boying, we talked about DJing, and graffiti, we already know you do.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh, so, that's one thing, too. My homie Carlos, my homie Lil Tuffy, he's from the neighborhood. He does all of my ink. He was the first homie from the neighborhood to really teach me about bombing and like just setting your neighborhood in like fucking big old blocks. You know what I mean? That's another thing. I love block letters. You know, I love keeping it old school. I like keeping it like just OG. You know what I mean? Like, cause then you just lose the pretty much the value, you know what I mean? The reasoning behind it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, when he started teaching me these letters, I started going out by myself, you know, just riding around in a Nissan, you know, like just bombing walls here and there in broad daylight, you know, just big old letters. And I'm short, you know, so I had to get on my toes to reach all the way up here, you know? Yeah, you know, and I one of my homies told me, he was like, yeah, you know, some lady just passed by, you know, and she was like, yeah, your homie's over there hitting up. And he was like, oh, just let him do his thing, you know? You know, but that's one thing that I learned too, you know, that music really pushed me to go to that extreme, you know, because they were talking about, well, there's some groups at least that talk about, you know, tagging on a train, da-da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? Like, you know, walking in the city that's all hit up, you know? And then you see the movies from back then too, that it encouraged me, you know, to bring back the olden times, you know?
Right.
Because, you know, I don't know, I don't really like this. I don't like this era, you know?
You don't really like your generation?
No.
Okay, so now, last time you were here, I asked you a question and it shocked me because I thought you were really good in your videos, you know, and I said, how long you been rapping? And then you said, oh, about 2 years, like all nonchalant, okay? So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this guy could have gotten good in 2 years. Like in 2 years, honestly, there's no way. But I want to tell the audience something that I've learned from you as well. Because believe it or not, even though you may never say, Tone, sit down, listen, let me tell you something. No, just by you being you, you were teaching me something. Me and Darren, when we were recording you, okay, and you were just like straight old school. You did your 16-bar verse, went into the chorus, and then you were going to start your verse again. And I was like, stop him. And he was like, no, just let him go. So, and then I asked your manager, Jeff, I said, hey man, you know, how many times has this guy been in the studio? He's raw, he's never been in a studio. Okay, we brought you in and we were trying to explain to you, you do your first verse, okay, stop. We're gonna do the chorus on another track. And then you said, okay. You went back in there and you did your verse and your chorus again. And I'm like, okay, do not say the chorus, stop, okay? I mean, everything was right on, but we want to have different volumes for everything, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that was about the only issue, but it was weird because Darren's engineering and he's looking at you and then he's looking at me and he's looking at you and he goes, do you hear that? I knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, I hear it. And he goes, that guy's a natural. That guy's a natural.
It's crazy coming from him too. You know, like coming from the both of you, I don't know, like what I'm trying to say is that if you look at it from my perspective, it's like coming from somebody that pretty much their whole teenage years, early adult life, they've just been, you know, focused on gang banging, you know what I mean? Like knowing you're gonna die, you know what I mean? You're just accepting it. But now that you just get some talent and you're just like, okay, let me push a little bit in this direction, and next thing you know, like here I am, you know, like that's what trips me out. You know what I mean? Like, and when I went in that studio, I went in there as best as I can. You know what I mean? And like I told you, you know, because I only get one shot.
Yeah, you know, and it was. Here's the funny part about it was that when Darren calls you in and he asks you, you never recorded before, and you say, well, I recorded at, I think, at somebody's house, but it was in a studio like this. You know, we just pretty much just verse, chorus, verse, whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And he told you, man, because you were right on, like on beats, okay? I thought, I'll be honest with you, since you had never been in a studio, that, okay, punch him in after 2 bars, punch him in after 4 bars, because we didn't think you were going to be on time. I thought the lyrics were there, but you just shocked us, and then that's when he said, oh, this guy's a natural, and then he said this. He said, wow. He goes, let me ask you this, man. He goes, do you practice? You go, yeah, I practice.
That's one thing you got to do. You got to practice. No matter what your craft is, you always got to practice.
And you know what? I've been in the studio with a lot of rappers. From 87, from Cube to Easy to Dre to High C to Quick, Second to None, AMG to Tina Marie to whoever, Cypress Hill. Never, and they were all great, but I never heard no one verbally say, I practice. You know?
What the fuck?
Yeah, so so
crazy.
that really, really shocked me, and I think that's what's going to pay off, because one thing is you love what you do, you love the craft, and you're dedicating yourself to it, you know. And I think that's what the passion that you have for music, that's what kind of drew me to you, you know, because when I met you over the phone, you know, you were real quiet. I did the majority of the talking. But when you came in March 7th for your interview, and I met you pretty much right here, and I shook your hand. But do you remember my words? And I said, I feel like I know you already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm going to say something that might freak people out, okay? We talked one time over the phone, and then you said, I met you 2 years ago. That's what you told me. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you must be a time traveler. They just came back to kick it with us. You came back in the old Rampla, you know what I'm saying? You know, but like, you said that to me, correct?
Yeah.
And then you go, I saw myself there before. And I'm thinking 2 years ago, that's either when you first started rapping or barely started rapping. Like, you were just tripping me out. And there was a lot of things that, for an example, blew me away. We were playing a track that me, DJ Dominator co-produced with me. And you were coming in to do the lyrics. And I said to Darren, you know who would sound dope with D on this track? And I said, Sugar Free. That's what I said. Then you walk into the studio, and then I said, you know who would sound dope on this track? Sugar Free. And then you said, wow, we were just bumping and talking about Sugar Free right now, right as we walked in.
Yeah.
A lot of things like that. So, of course, we can't give the audience everything, but I do believe that there's a lot of things that point to, for some reason, and some of you that have had this experience would understand that I think we were meant to work together. You know, to musically work together. And I repeated this several times. And I'm going to say it right now live, and you tell me if I'm lying or not. I said, your success will be my pay. That's what I said, correct?
Yep.
When you guys approached me to, Jeff, and you came over and approached me to do a record, I really didn't want nothing to do with it. I was just like, nah, you know, there's other producers out there.
Yeah.
You know, 3 beats for $50, you know, Fisher Price beats.
Yeah, Fisher Price.
You know, and I said, but I'll tell you what, when we finally got down to the nitty gritty, I said, I'll do 2 beats for free. That's what I said, correct?
Yeah, correct.
I didn't ask for no money. And then I said, you know what, when we, if you like what I do, then I bring in my guy, we film, I direct the video, we release it, see how it does, and then we'll talk numbers. And I think we're like 5 or 6 songs already into it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
so
crazy too.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. So now, because I know I'm talking my head off, but I had to tell the public how this shit came to pass. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, of course.
Now, so far, with what we have been doing, you feel comfortable, man? Do you like where you're at so far?
Of course, hell yeah. Of course, you know, it's actually a blessing, you know, to be where I'm at. You know, it's not necessarily like, you know, something that I expected, and then it's actually in a good way, you know, because I have people at work coming up to me, you know, talking about, oh, I seen your video. You know, the other day I was loading packages, you know, because I work in a warehouse, you know, so as I was loading packages, some dude comes up out of nowhere. He's like, hey, can you sign right here real quick? So I start signing, you know what I mean? And it says, oh, you know, it's like, just put your name, whatever. But then out of nowhere, he hits me with, oh, I'm like a paparazzi. And I'm like, why? What do you mean? And he's like, oh, you're famous, dog. And I was like, what? I'm not even famous, dog. And he's like, nah, dog, like, you're up there, man. And I'm like, nah, I don't even know what you're talking about, you know, trying to see what else he can hit me with. And he was just like, hey, just know I'll be watching, you know? So I've just been, I just think a lot, you know? I'm just like,
right.
Dang, like, things like that at work, you know? Like,
right.
Like I said, to someone like me, like, it blows my mind, you know? It's just, it's an unexplainable feeling, you know? It's, you can't really replace it with anything else, because you're pretty much getting thanked at the same time being congratulated. You know what I mean? For your success, your hard work, you know, all the times you just been writer's block, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh fuck, like, what do I think? Are people gonna like this, or are they not? You know? That's one thing about me, you know, I overthink a lot about my music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And before I put it out, I'm just like, are they gonna like it? You know, I'm not one of those people that just like, oh, I want to brag, I want to make myself seem as this super sureño or like this. No, I'm serious, you know, because like, let's be real, you know, most people, they just talking about their neighborhoods, you know what I mean, like paying, you know, homage to, you know, to the South, and it's like, that's like 5%, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of words in the dictionary, and it's not all just sur, trece, you know what I mean? Like every, you know, like let's just keep it real. You know, I want to make music, you know? And so I got to the point where I was just like, okay, I got to take this serious. And I don't know if I brought this up before, but I got to thank my probation officer for making me take down all of my gangbanging videos and make me push, you know, I want to say the elements of being an artist. You know what I mean? Because I was all over the place. I was more like, okay, let me put on for my neighborhood. Let me show people North Hollywood is here. Let me show the Valley is out. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't necessarily about, oh, I'm going to make money, I'm going to supply for my family. Nah, it was more about entitlement. You know what I mean? It was more about making the things around me relevant.
Right. Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Well, you wanted to appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah, of course.
And many people, they don't realize that many times the things that they say, you know, whether you're a black artist, whether you're a Chicano artist, it could keep you regional, meaning like it could keep you pretty much just in like, for an example, I know artists that can't sell past Texas. Texas, Colorado, you know, Portland, New Mexico, Arizona, up north, and it's regional. So they don't appeal to a wider audience. Some people could be happy with that, and that's cool. But what you're saying is that you want it to be more than just on some street stuff.
Yeah,
you want it to appeal to a wider audience. You want to be an artist.
Yeah, I want to do what Ice-T did.
Okay.
You know, he wasn't. I mean, he was talking about the neighborhoods, you know, the crime, you know, the things in it, but he was shining a light on it. He wasn't necessarily saying be it, you know, like he was more about this is the repercussions. You know what I mean? Like I want to say dang, I forgot the name of it. I want to say it's Hustlers. It's something about hustlers, you know. So the whole song builds up to the high life, to the baller life, you know, about being a kingpin, a drug dealer, whatever you want to call it. But then you eventually die. You know what I mean? And like that's the same ending, you know, for everybody. And that's what he's basically saying, you know, like, okay, this life at least isn't what it's cut out to be. You know what I mean? So just double think it. And that's what he's basically doing. That's what I want to do, you know, because I don't want to lead people into their demise, you know, because then I'll be responsible for that. And, you know how that goes.
Yeah, you know, well, some people would say, well, yeah, but, you know, only weak-minded people would do something stupid. But you know what? There's a lot of weak-minded people that listen to a lot of artists, whether you're a rap artist, whether you're a rock artist, punk rock. There's people that have committed suicide over somebody's lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, or killed somebody because of somebody's lyrics.
Yeah.
I was inspired by, you know, Marilyn Manson, so I went out and took out a whole school, you know. Yeah, so I understand that there's people out there that are weak-minded and that do take those lyrics to heart. You could just be saying, you know what, I got those lyrics came to me in a dream, like the way Spice One said. And then it could really, like, possibly, you know, make somebody do something wrong, if you will. You know, and I said, what you're saying is that you don't want to be responsible. You don't want to, you know, for that type of, if you will.
For at least for that negative side of it, I don't
Right.
want to be responsible for it. You know, like I'm always about, like, you know, pushing people to read more, you know, like educate themselves, you know, like not be stupid, you know, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you
It's
know.
true.
Yeah, because there's too many people out there that just think they know it all, and it doesn't really hurt to just shut up, you know, for at least a couple of minutes, you know, because at least that's what I do, you know, because I like listening. I like people telling me, like, at least their version of life, you know, because I'm barely 21, you know. The most that I've seen was a couple jail cells, you know, fucking a couple bullets here and there, you know, but that's just 25% of what you possibly would have seen already,
Right.
you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get at, you know?
You know, you just turned 21, and I'm glad that you actually mentioned that you actually have a job, because there's nothing wrong with the working man.
No, yeah, definitely isn't. You know,
know,
that's one thing too, you know, people get ashamed of it, you know, especially rappers, you know, and it doesn't really hurt to just work a 9 to 5, you know, you're just supporting yourself, you're not necessarily supporting other people.
Right, right.
You know?
But you and your family. So, okay, so we're going to take a 5-minute break. We're not going to take a 10-minute break because we kept, you know, technical difficulties. The stupid raccoon was back. So we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. We're going to come right back, pick up where we left off, and then we're going to premiere your video.
Cool.
So,
cool.
okay, everybody, make sure you call somebody, text somebody, slap the shit out of somebody, let them know that MR.DEE is in the motherfucking building. We'll be back 5 minutes. Don't fuck around.
What's up? My name's Darren Vegas. I'm a multi-platinum producer and engineer out of Orange County, California. I'm like a coach that's going to help take you to the next level. A lot of people think that you can just download beats off YouTube and all of a sudden you're going to make it in the rap game. Boy, it takes a lot more than that. There's a lot of techniques that I've learned over the years that I'm going to teach you. Valuable stuff that you just can't get anywhere else. I custom produce artists. So when you come in the studio, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to see what kind of artist you are. And I'm going to custom make the music right for you, right on the spot. So you're a part of it. You know, it's something that a lot of artists and a lot of producers don't really get to do. You know, I feel that the interaction is going to make the music the best that it can be. So if you're there for the making of the beat and the music, you know you're going to feel that music. I'll produce the track for you. You could take it home, work on it, practice it, come back to the studio. We'll work on it together, and then you're going to lay your vocals, and you're not going to believe like how you sound.
Welcome back, everybody. Everybody, is everybody in? Welcome back, everybody, to Roadium Radio, episode 174. And I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to go ahead and jump right back into it with Mr. D. ¿Cómo estás?
Chilling.
Okay. I want to talk about something that I guess people are wondering. How did this guy, at least in my opinion, get such a huge buzz from cell phone videos?
Well, it all started off when, so there were some graffiti pages, right? Like I said, you know, like I used to send my pictures, you know, of like things that I would tag, you know, like regular walls, you know, ledges, trucks, you know, whatever the whole shebang, you know. So as I kept sending them, they were like, oh man, like you're crazy fucking talented, man. Like you're doing some letters like that. Like what? Like that's crazy, you know? And I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put out a video, but I'm gonna rap in front of it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm actually not that good, but if you actually like it, then you can post it on your page. And they were like, okay, that's a deal. So I make my video and just, I rap in front of my block letters, you know, and my homie's recording, right?
Yeah.
And my homie from my neighborhood, by the way, you know, like, cause I have them, you know, help me out too, you know, like sometimes I encourage, you know, like people to get into, you know, recording things, you know, like see if they could even make it into a career or just a hobby, you know. You never know.
Right, whether it be rapping, recording, music, whatever.
Exactly. There's lanes for everything, right?
Right.
But so I sent in my video, and then they were like, oh man, that's fucking crazy. I'm gonna post it. So they posted, and the feedback they got was fucking crazy. I started getting followers, but then I started getting worried because I was like, okay, now I'm becoming more of a bigger and greater target, you know? And I had no problem with that, you know? To me, that was a trophy, you know? And that was an award, you know? Because mission accomplished.
Now, when you say a bigger target, you talking, it's a neighborhood thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right,
Of course,
okay.
because these pages, they were, it's like, for example, right? A1 ain't Pinoy Real, A1 ain't Placas, Valley hit-ups, you know, pages like that. They were just continuously like documenting like gang warfare, you know what I mean?
Right,
like
this was
just
the page for that type of lifestyle.
Of course, you know, and it was just keeping everybody aware, you know, like you know, like when you get magazines from, you know, back then you were just like, okay, this is what Biggie just did. Oh, that's crazy, you know, like, oh,
right.
This is what Master P just did. You know, it's just like that. So when my video started going crazy, it started circulating the web, a page picked it up. It was called Lost Starts. And then once they posted my video on it, that's when Latin Beast and everybody else started picking it up, right? Everybody started going crazy. Latin Beast was supposed to shoot my first video. And I didn't turn them down. I just didn't get back at them, you know. The only reason why was because I just wasn't ready, you know. Right. And then they were like, oh yeah, you know, we'll push this video. We'll get this bomb ass track out, whatever, you know what I mean? They promised me a lot of things, and I was like, okay, I'm becoming a little bit overwhelmed because I wasn't necessarily prepared for the fame, you know what I mean? I just thought I was gonna be just known around the block, you know what I mean? Like from my block to the projects, or you know.
Let me interject really quick. You said something that I think a lot of people need to hear. You said, I didn't get back to them because I didn't feel that I was ready. Mm-hmm. Here's what I see in a lot of today's artists, and I share this with you. Mm-hmm. I will never mention no names, but there are artists that have come here, and I've told you, they're about a year away from spitting fire.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of these artists even recognize that, like, okay, I'm not ready, but my manager wants to put me out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's not smart business.
No, it isn't.
It isn't. That's why we have a lot of artists out there, sad to say, and I encourage them to keep going, but that are mediocre, because they're not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, and today, matter of fact, we were talking, and I said, you know what? I would like to work with certain artists, but they're not teachable. They're not coachable. They don't want to listen. They think they are ready. Mm-hmm. And I like that you pointed that out and said, I didn't get back because I didn't feel I was ready.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you shared that, because maybe that should encourage someone. Maybe I shouldn't put out this record.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, too many people put out just gibberish, you know, and just,
right,
you know, rubbish stuff, you know. Then they get mad because of the feedback they received. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, oh, you should stop rapping, you know. But once you tell someone that, then they actually get that and they implement it in their mind. You know, right, it becomes concrete, and it's just like, okay, maybe I should, you know.
Right.
Another person tells you, oh, this dude sucks, you know, like stop rapping, you know, and then you're just like, you're getting all these people telling you the same thing, and then you start believing it, you know?
Right.
And that's the thing. You don't necessarily have to rush everything, especially not something that you see yourself putting out publicly, you know?
So you put out that video somewhat goes viral. You're starting to get followers. Now you're starting to realize, okay, now I'm shining light on me because, you know, I'm probably going to be a bigger target. I'm still here in my neighborhood. And this was just something that you did just to shoot at them, like I'm just gonna rap off of it, you know?
Yeah.
Rap to it in front of my block letters.
It was actually just a like sort of in a way throw shots at other neighborhoods, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like look what we're doing, you know, look what you're not doing, you know, like like we're over here with block letters rapping in front of stuff and like just going crazy viral, you know, and you're not, you know, and like that's what I wanted to do, you know, that was my main goal, you know, because it was just in me, like I was just I knew I couldn't do it through shooting people because I knew I was gonna get time, you know, because you could easily go lay someone out, anybody could do it, but then you're gonna have to face the consequences, and those consequences always come with football numbers, and I'm not a football player, I'm a rapper, you know?
Right.
So me thinking like that, I was just like, nah, you know what? Let me do it, let me get at them and, you know, hit them a certain way, just like the Bloods and Crips did back in Banging on Wax. Because when Rodney, I believe his name was, mentioned it on Dangerous Records, he was like, nah, you know what? Instead of picking up a gun, shoot them with a pen. I know it sounds corny, but it makes sense. Because they made all these records with longevity, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, well, I'm not going to say the names, you know, because it has, like, you know, certain this names, you know, but, you know, people know what I'm talking about, the you know, the catalog of Banging on Wax, you know, it was a classic, you know, even the saga continues, you know, like it's countless classics, you know? Now, and it's just off of pens, you know?
And I'm glad you're saying that because you know what, we never ever want to encourage anybody to pick up a gun. And I'm gonna say this, now I'm not trying to offend anybody, but anybody could pull a trigger.
No, yeah, of course.
You know, anybody could pull a trigger, but you know what, it's gonna come with consequences, and guess what, most likely it's gonna be 25 to life.
And it really depends on how you handle that too. You know, it's like, okay, you got that charge, but what are you going to do after?
Yeah, and some people just, they can't hang with that, man, you know, because now you're taken away from your family, your loved ones are hurting because you did something you shouldn't have done.
Exactly.
And you decided to take it to the mic instead.
Yeah.
When back in the day, breakers, they didn't throw blows anymore. They just said, let's just take it to the floor.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying. I know where you're going with this, and I think people need to understand that. If you were a pop locker, you know what, you didn't fight. Let's just see who's got the best moves.
And you know what's crazy is that I used to actually, I had a goal from when I was 10 years old that I wanted to do a headstand or a handstand at least. I told my mom that was my goal. If I'm 10 years old and I still can't do it, like I ain't shit, you know? Like in other words, you know, I didn't tell her that, you know, but I basically told her in a way that I needed to amount to this, or if not, just forget about me, you know, because I was deep into b-boying, you know, I had the whole get down, you know what I mean? Like I actually literally thought that I could do a flare, and I ended up, you know, pulling the shoulder, you know, but you know, it is what it is, you know?
Hey, you tried.
Of course,
you never
it's all
know
about that.
Until you try. So now, you did your first video, people are digging it, the feedback was good. You decided to do it again because about how many videos would you say where you're rapping these one verses? But how many videos of those do you think you have out right now on your YouTube page?
From back then?
Yeah, from back then till now, just kind of like a rough number.
From back then, I don't have any. Because
no, I'm talking about the ones that people can see on YouTube.
Oh. You know what? Actually, those I feel like I want to say that I have the same amount of videos on my Instagram page.
Okay, so what are those, about 16?
Yeah, like around there, 17.
Okay. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because people have hit me up since they found out I was working with you. Where can I hear this guy's music? Okay. And I would just say, well, he doesn't have any. This is it, okay? And I think that's where people tripped out because you have built a name off of somebody holding a cell phone, playing music, and you're just rapping, probably thinking it's never gonna go anywhere.
No,
okay?
I definitely thought it wasn't.
Now, who would film? Would you just put your phone on the floor? Would somebody hold it, or?
Well, there was actually like different friends, you know.
Okay.
Could be a homeboy, could be a friend, could be a coworker. It jumps around from different people, you know. Recently, I think it was my coworker that just recorded my last one, you know, when I was in the sewers.
Right.
You know, we're just just, you know, just
Right.
here's the thing. He had an experience with cameras, with skating, you know, like he was recording his homie skate, do their little thing, kick flips. And then he came at me with an idea that he wanted to swing the camera upwards. And I was like, oh, I see what you mean now, you know?
Right.
And it's little things like that I just wanted to point out to other people too that do things like that they can even get into fields regarding that. You know, it doesn't necessarily stop at just skating. You know, it's
Right.
like that's why I feel like my story is a little it's a trip. You know, because it's like I told you, I wasn't expecting to get this far by someone holding a phone, you know, and you
Right.
can't really expect to get so far from just skating, you know, either, you know?
Now, I want to say something because, again, when this person, and if you're hearing this, DM me because I want to thank you for sending me that video, other than him and my son. But there was something that I read because I started going through the comments, okay? And everything was, YG signed this guy, King Little G signed him, this guy's got I mean, just the love was enormous, okay?
Yeah.
And I was blown away because, once again, to me, those one verse videos off your cell phone, it's kind of like a bad recording on a demo tape back in the 80s, okay? Except we didn't have visuals. So I'm going through the comments, and there was one that stood out, that stuck to me, and I really want the public to hear this. And it said, I came here to judge, but I left impressed. And that one, I thought that, like, wow. And it was almost the same thing that I thought when I saw you, like, who in the hell is this guy? Until I pressed play.
Yeah.
Okay? And I was like, wow, this guy, he was honest enough to say, I came here to judge.
It's usually what people usually go do too, you know.
Yeah.
Most people that go on there, you know, they just, that's crazy. This dude can rap. You know, damn, he's probably gonna be as big as his pants. You know, like,
yeah.
You know, like it's little reactions like that. You know, I'm just like, okay, whatever. You know, I don't mind it. You know, because I know it'll attract that. You know, that
Right.
those set of eyes, so to say. You know.
Yeah. Now, and then I read another one that I told you. I said, I screenshot and I sent it to you. And I go, check this out. And it was 6 months ago. It was past, you know, our interview. And it said, you need to hook up with Tony the Wizard and Roadium Radio.
Yeah.
You know, and it was funny because when I sent it to you, somebody actually sent it to me as well and said, hey,
really?
man, you guys were meant to work together. And I was tripping. I was like, what the hell? And this was before our March 7th interview.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I started seeing all these little connections, you know, everything was connected together, you know. But every comment that I was reading was positive, okay? Every once in a while you'll get one troll, okay? But, you know, it's fine. Now, you sent me something that somebody had posted on TikTok about you, okay? We won't say the song because we're going to hit them with it, you know, later on down the line. And it was a one verse song, and it had gotten 2.1 million views.
Yeah.
And I told you, the crazy part is this. I had told you already, that's our next single, right?
Yeah, you did.
I said, that's our next single. And I go, it's going to be a hit, watch. And then you said, you think so? And then I said, yeah, only 2.1 people said it's going to be a hit. See, we as producers and as artists, and I want everybody to listen to this because I've been around for a long time. I'm old from the old school, okay? That we sometimes get together and we say, oh man, this song's a shit. It's going to be the summer anthem. And it'll be,
yeah.
Okay.
You gotta let the audience depict it.
the audience picks your hits, okay? The audience picks your hits. We could say we got the banger. It comes out, it falls flat on our face, and then we get mad because all you guys are just hating. No, your song just sucked.
That's usually the case too, you know, because most people, they don't listen to their fans, you know, or, you know, they just think they, you know, it's like you said, they know it all.
Right.
But I feel like, at least with me, that'll never be the case. You know, I always ask people for their feedback, regardless if it's negative. I always find something within those lines that always tell me, okay, work on this, or maybe they're a little right, or maybe you listen to them a little bit, you know, because a quick example, right? I was on the phone, you know, I was freestyling for one of my homies' coworkers, and then he was like, oh, that's tight. You could rap, but your bars were whack. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? He was like, you gotta improve them. You know what I mean? Like your flow, like your flow is untouchable. But if you're trying to be a lyricist, you have to work on it more and more and more, you know, like, and I was like, okay, it bummed me out, because I was like, okay, like, I was going crazy, you know, I thought I was good, but then it reminded me that I had to humble myself, you know, it reminded me that I'm on ground right now, you know what I mean? So I had to really go back, you know, like, dissect my rhymes and just literally see where I can improve it, you know, because there's always room for improvement for everything.
Right,
you
right.
know?
No, and it's very, very true. You many times, you know, you can how would you say, you could be almost closed-minded to people's, you know, good constructive criticism, you know.
Yeah.
I've told people, they've shared their albums with me, and believe me, it's a hard place to be in when they tell you, here's my record, tell me what you think. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's hard to sit there and say, you know what, don't release this record. Honestly, do not release this record.
And you know what's crazy is that I'm not really too direct with people at times, so I'm kind of like around the bush, usually at least, you know. So when people come up to me, like, I've had someone rap for me, you know, once or twice, and I lied to them, you know, obviously, you know, because they were my supporters, so I wasn't just gonna be like, oh, your shit's whack. I listened to them. I told them, okay, it was all right, you know. Let me show you a little bit, you know, like, start using internal rhyming more, you know, start expanding your syllables, start rhyming your syllables, start doing things differently, not just cat in a hat status, you know, like, it's just like, nah, man, you're going backwards, you know, like,
right.
That's the thing you don't want to do. You want to be on some Rakim stuff, you know, like, you want to be like
some KRS.
Exactly. You
Right.
know, you want to be on some BDP stuff.
Right.
You know, like, you want to bring those you want to bring the music that makes people think. And that's the thing that people lack now, you know. It's just like dumb music, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, like I said, I have a hard time with today's music. There's some really, really great talented rappers out there, I think, that are lacking beats. And then there's some great producers out there that have the wrong people rapping on their stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's just my opinion. I like to give my opinion. But I'm a very direct person, and the reason why I learned to be direct, because it keeps people from coming sideways at you.
Yeah. No,
You
yeah,
know,
definitely.
I'm very, very direct, you know. So if I feel something, I don't say something to be rude, but I like to give constructive criticism to help them out.
Before it turns into something else.
Yeah, so, you know, like I told this individual, you know what, I wouldn't release it. I said, I don't think it's you. That's what I said. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the best you have to offer to your fans. And this is what he said. Well, these were the cheapest beats that I can get.
Nah, but you can't go cheap with your craft, though.
Yeah, you can't.
That's the thing. You gotta, either you go in, you put it on your chips, or you don't. You know, it's literally a game of poker every single day.
Yeah, you know, and then he went ahead and released it, you know, anyways. Mm-hmm. And he was happy because he put it on a certain platform that already had like almost 1 million, you know, subscribers. And he was happy because he got all these views. But I asked him like this, how did that equal into money? I asked him that. How did that equal into money? Here's how you know if your stuff is really popping. Put it on your own page and let's see how many views you get, okay? He tried to do that, and I think, I'll be real with you, on that one song, he probably got maybe like 800 views.
Really?
Compared to, you know, the 300,000 that he had over here. So he started really seeing that, because me being honest with him, it had nothing to do with hate. It was like, you have more to offer than what you're just putting out there.
Yeah.
I've never been one to say, well, I'll just put this out there just to throw it out there. You don't ever want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Definitely don't. You know, and I actually kind of, I don't want to say regret some videos, you know, but I do want to take some back because I'm all over the place, you know. Some takes were just like the 100th take, you know, like I just kept annoying the fuck out of my homies, you know, just going, oh, let's do another one, you know, because I'm all tired in some videos, you know, I get fatigued, you know, because I smoke a lot, you know. So that's one thing that I really want to touch base too, you know, because there's a lot of videos out there that I want to say aren't my best, but they took me and placed me at my best, you know, and that's the craziest part of this all, you know, like.
There was one video that you released that I thought it was dope, but at the same time I thought it was hilarious because you could hear more wind than music.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is that, you know? Is that the calm before the storm or what? Yeah, and then you're over here rapping to it. I'm like, that beat's on time. I mean, you know, that wind.
Like, you know, it's crazy. I do that thing too, you know, like, when like, you know, the random noises in the background of a video, I'm just like, oh, that's just on beat. What the fuck? I do that too. I don't know why. It's just a little bad habit. But I know what you mean. That video.
Okay, so let's walk us through it. Your homie is holding the phone. Where's the music coming from?
Actually, it's not coming from anywhere. It's I try to remember it a little bit, but sometimes I do put the phone in my pocket and I just play it at the lowest volume. Not necessarily like to the full extreme, you know, because this is how I edit it, right? I use an app called iMovie, right? So all I do is just record on my regular camera, and then it's acapella from that perspective.
Yeah.
You know? And then what I do is that I go back, screen record the instrumental, go into iMovie, and put the instrumental over there. You know what I mean? And then I just edit it, like I start moving it, you know, like it's trying to see if it's on beat. Yeah, I'm raising the levels for my voice, lowering this level here, you know. That's why sometimes some of my music sounds the way it sounds. You know, it's not, it's by me. You know, I'm doing all of this, you know, like I'm the one like, oh, that sounds tight over here. Like, let me raise my voice over here, you know, because I split the clips here and there too, you know.
Next time, take out the wind.
I'll try to.
Well, you don't have to worry about that now because when people see your video, it's not one of those.
No, yeah, of course,
You know?
of course.
Now let's talk a little bit about that because when I talked to Jeff, once again, your manager, I said, I want to direct the video, but I want to bring my guy in, okay? And he said, well, you know, I got my guy already. And I was like, just trust me on this one. I'm giving you guys some free beats. Let me do my thing, okay?
Yeah.
So I brought in my boy, Isaac Joel, which when the video plays, it'll say videographer, it'll have his name and his Instagram where people want to reach him or whatever. And I called him up and I told him, I got a video I need you to do, you know, because he does a lot of like mini movies, okay? And he had a dope ass fucking camera, you know?
Yeah.
And he knows what he's doing. He's a youngster and, you know, he really wants to make a living in this. So I said, you need to come on down, man. I think we got ourselves a winner. Cool, whatever. It was weird because he tells me, can you write me out like a treatment of what the video's gonna be like? And I said, I'll just call you and tell you. That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did because I'm not gonna sit there and then he's gonna walk through the door. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that, bro. You know.
Yeah.
Now when I film my DOCUMIXERY, that's what I did. Nah, dude, just fucking film me. I'm gonna go in that fucking car, put it in the fucking drive and take off. Just film me.
Yeah.
That's some running gun type of shit. So I've changed since then. Okay. So sent him the songs, and we shot the video. All the locations. I mean, look, I'll give a little bit away. We even rented furniture.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
We had to meet. We had to meet twice. This fucking place. You know?
Yeah, shit was crazy.
Yeah, we had to rent furniture. I was calling people to let me use their house, and like fuck that, you know. So
the best part about it though was that warehouse was in my neighborhood too. Well, not in my neighborhood, but it was, you know, around there. You know, it was in my city. You know.
Right.
And everything that was in there is like I told you before. You know, if we were to really rent certain things from that place, it'd blow people away.
Yeah, cause we can take them back in time.
Hell yeah, with that black leather too.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
So we fixed it up. This is what you're gonna do. This is the song you're gonna do. This is where we're gonna film it. I had all the locations ready, you know. And I know people are gonna trip on the video because they think they're just gonna get a song, and that's all we're gonna say until they, you know, see it.
Yeah.
You know. But other than that, let me ask you this: for this being your first video experience, I believe, your first official song video,
yeah, it is.
How was it like for you, man?
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. You know, seeing yourself from a phone is completely different from where I see myself now. You know, it actually, I want to say it tripped me out, but I feel like it kind of, it made me be more of aware of what I'm doing now. Because now I feel like I'm more of a, I want to say a poster child of everything that I did back then, you know? And that's everybody, you know, don't get me wrong, but every time that I start spitting, you know, I really have to make sure that it represents me. You know what I mean? So when I started doing these videos and I started just recording myself, just, I don't know. I was doing it, you know, I was like, all right, I know it'll take off, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, this is some MTV, VH1, BET type of level. You know, you're just
Right,
like,
right,
okay,
right.
you're confident. You know, like you know what you paid for,
Right.
and you're getting that result. But up until now, I'm just like, damn, this is crazy.
I remember when I played it for you in here, and I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, what did you think? And you said it was a 13. And then you said, can you play it again? So we watched it twice.
Yeah.
You know, and me and Jeff was sitting right here, and I was sitting over there, and we were looking at each other, looking at you. You know what I'm saying? Because you were like a little kid in a candy store. You know, you were really enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I enjoyed it. And I'll be honest with you, I saw the video maybe like 30 times already. And that's what I said, I'm not going to send it to you because you'll do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and it kind of ruins the surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. So, my thing is this, because I'm a critic of everything, bro. I know I was driving Joel crazy because I kept calling him, hey, bro, you need to change it. Hey, bro, you need to do this. Hey, bro, you need to do it. It's got to be like this.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? And I know it's kind of hard because, you know, he's a youngster. He's 23 years old. And he was like, well, I thought it was good the way it was.
Oh, he's 23?
Yeah, he's 23.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
so when I met him, he was only 19.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So, but I saw something in him, you know. I think this guy can be a great videographer. And I think he is. So, no, dude, it's got to be like this. No, it's got to be like that. And he's okay. So he finally gave it to me a couple of days ago again, the finished copy, and it looks great, man. I think you're going to really, really, you know, enjoy it again. And then after the interview, I'll email it to you so you can post it up on your
Hell
YouTube
yeah.
page or whatnot.
Hell yeah.
But with that being said, man, we come pretty much to the end of our interview. I wanted to say this because we have CDs ready, okay? And it's not an album. Not an album. You're actually releasing a two-song single, okay?
Yep.
Which it'll be available, if I'm correct, Monday, and we'll give them a little bit more news on Sunday, Roadium Radio episode, or where they can purchase it, okay?
Yep.
And believe me, you're gonna want to purchase it, okay? And I actually, on one of the locations that we went to, is actually a historical part, a historical place. We won't say where it was. Remember when we filmed the last part, and you took that one picture?
Oh.
Okay, it was a historical place. You already know what legend was there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, okay.
So I haven't seen another video filmed there. So hopefully people would see where it's you know, where it's at. I mean, as a matter of fact, that's your CD cover. So yeah, other than that, anything that I didn't ask you, anything you want to bring up?
I actually wanted to give I wanted to thank you, you know, first and foremost for bringing me here, you know. But I don't mean here physically. I mean, like, to this level, you know, making everybody around me, you know, and like just elevate themselves as well. You know, it's a domino effect. You know, you affected us all. You know, you affected a community pretty much. You know, and I feel like I just wanted to give you props on live. You know, and I also wanted to give a shout out to a lot of people at work. You know, for helping me like keep getting that flame within me. You know, and not being like, you know, like, oh, like, yeah, that's crazy, this dude's working with us, you know, like, you know, it's like some real good people at work, you know. And one thing that I really wanted to say too is that my supporters are crazy as fuck, they're tight, you know, like, and I don't mean like they're lunatics, but I mean that I appreciate them, you know, because I get people from different backgrounds. I'm like a tattoo artist, you know, like, you don't know what you're getting through that door, but once they sit in your chair, like, either you communicate with them or you're just like, okay, I'm just doing this just to get paid, you know, but people know me. I do it just for the passion, for the love of it, you know. So I'll always speak to everybody that, you know, that hits me up. People hit me up in traffic, you know, out of nowhere. They're just like, what the fuck, you know? Right. But I also wanted to say a big thank you to my inspirations, you know. You know, like I told you, the poppers, the graffiti artists, you know. I don't want to say the gangsters from back then, you know, but I want to keep it just, you know, honest too, you know, because the poppers did help me get to where I am now, you know, because fuck, if it wasn't for Ice-T, you know what I mean, like bringing in colors, bringing in, you know, 6 in the morning, it just goes on and on and on, you know. So I just wanted to just give props to everybody.
And one thing that you always, every time I talk to you, it never fails, you always say, I talked to my mom, I told my mom this, and I really, really like that you are in your mom's life, your mom's in your life, and you guys are close. Because my mother, again, she's no longer here, but she was very dear to me. And I like to see that relationship, that you guys have. I was hoping maybe you would bring her so she could have saw the, but I know she's probably watching at home.
No,
I'm
she is.
proud of you. Another thing that I want to give a shout out to, is there any other shout outs? Because I don't want to take.
Shout out to the homies, but the biggest shout out to everybody that I wanted to give to was my family, couldn't do it without them,
Right.
I couldn't be here without them,
Right.
And I sure as hell couldn't think without them.
Right.
You know?
Well, also, Jeff, your manager.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Big shout out to the homie Water from the neighborhood.
Okay, now, a couple of things that I want to say. First of all, I want to thank Jen from Fashion Town.
Okay.
Because he pretty much sponsored our video.
Hell yeah.
With the white tees, the Pendletons.
Yeah, big thank you to Jen, too.
Yeah.
That you looked out, on some real shit. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate that.
I'm going to take you to his store so we can shoot a little video there.
Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah.
So, and he gave you that other Pendleton that I gave you.
Yeah, that's tight, man. Thank you.
So he sponsors Roadium Radio and he sponsors, the video. So now, other than that, Eric Reyes Keno, you asked me last night about you wanted to try to get a bully, a dog.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I know the guy. And then you said, you do? I go, yeah, the guy. Yeah. And he said, for reals? And I go, bro, I know everybody, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so I text him. He hit me back, and he had already known about you. He had seen your interview. Crazy. And he is a big supporter of Roadium Radio. And he told me just like this, and I told him, what you just told me, I'm going to tell him live, okay? He said, look, bro, because he's your friend, you're working with him. He says, I'll just give him a bully.
What the fuck, for real?
That's what he said.
That's fucking crazy.
That's what he said. He said,
yeah, that's tight.
Yeah,
that's tight.
We all know what
tight.
bullies go for.
Hell yeah, those
okay.
motherfuckers are expensive.
He said, I'll give him a pup.
That's a fucking car.
Yeah, exactly. So here's what he said, and I have to say this part too. I said, just let him know that whatever he posts, whenever he shares or whatever, just tell him to shout me out or to tag me or whatever, like where you got it from.
Okay.
And that's all.
For sure, no doubt. For sure.
And then I text Be Real today because I'm gonna get you on a podcast, and he said he's gonna make it work. So we're gonna have a MR.DEE, on Dr. Green Thumb podcast. Yeah. So much love, much respect to Be Real. And I know we had to move our New York interview till hopefully next month. So we'll be going out there with my boy DJ Toro on This Is 50, and we've got another interview set up there. And when we come back, talk to Soren Baker from Unique Access that he wants to interview you as well.
For sure.
And he's got a huge following. This guy used to write for The Source magazine. So I'm just not going to take it to just a bunch of people that just want to interview you. Everything and every move you make has to be worth something.
Of course.
Okay. So with that being said, we come to the end. I'm going to give my couple of shout outs. And then I'm going to say something that the public's not going to like, but I'm going to say it anyways. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my boy Alex Cervantes for making everything run smooth today. And Cervantes Enterprise. Anthony the Hip Hop Jedi for coming through. My son B Scallons for helping me promote this. And also I want to give a shout out to some very talented ex-rappers, artists that have come through, like Magic Girl. She's here. In the future, I want to do a Magic Girl Mr. D track, okay?
Oh yeah.
So let's keep that in mind. And also Bella's in the place. Bella the rapper. Bella's about to go on tour, MC Magic tour. She's off to, great things. In the future, I'm going to see a Bella and Mr. D, but it's got to be produced by me and directed by me.
Hell yeah, of course.
So we're about to do that. So good things are coming. So now let me ask you guys this. Let me tell you guys something. By the way, that was Bella. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to say goodbye. We're going to start a 15-minute countdown, and we're going to premiere the video for you guys. I know you guys are probably going to get mad and say, what the hell, we got to wait again? Yes, because that's what I was going to do anyways, before the fucking raccoon ate up the wire to our internet. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to log off. You're going to be notified. If you don't get notified, hit the notification button, and we're going to start a 15-minute countdown to Mr. D's video premiere here live on Roadium Radio. And if you're mad at me, still watch anyways. So, all right, we're out of here. 15 minutes, you're going to get your notification. We're going to start countdown. Believe me, you won't be disappointed, okay? And if you don't like the video, hit like anyways, okay? So, but I know you're going to love it because I don't do trash, okay? So, shit's about to change. So, we're good. We're out of here. 15 minutes, don't fuck around.